Whenever you want to shoot up there.
Good morning, folks. Hello, it's AllyChat here. I'm with the wonderful, no, he's on that side, wonderful Claude. And
wonderful.
This is another exciting episode of Trackside Beans. So, Claude, let us know what you're doing today.
Well, I'm going to do a little wiring. Not real exciting stuff, but that's the point I'm at.
Oh, well.
So that's what I'm going to do, because I really wasn't sure what I was going to do this morning. But this needs to be done, so this is what's going to get done.
Well, I'm sure there'll be some handy tips and hints as you go along the way that people might find interesting.
Yeah, they might. I use 12 gauge for, I think it's 12 gauge. 12 gauge. 14. I got 14 for that. I was going to use 12 gauge, but I decided not to strip it myself out of Romex, so which is what I was going to do originally, but that takes quite a bit of effort. So I decided to buy a couple of rolls and just went with 14 gauge for the main bus wires. And that's what I'm going to do, is extend the upper deck bus wire over past this trestle. And if you don't know which trestle I'm talking about, it's not the one behind me here. It's the one here in front of me. And you can see it on my update that I did yesterday on my channel. Okay, let's see.
Good morning, Heath.
Good morning, Heath.
We got Heath and Sparky.
Oh, Sparky's here. Hey, Sparky.
Yes.
Okay, what now? I got to change it. I don't know how to do that. This is what I need.
Oh.
One thing I've always found frustrating with these terminal barrier strips is they never ship the jumpers with them. Why they don't put a couple of jumpers in when you've got a four terminal strip or bigger? Why they don't put the jumpers in them? You got to order those separately. One of those things that
maybe
holds
you up. Yeah. I was just thinking maybe that's because they don't want you to accidentally short circuit something.
Well, that could be. Well, I mean, just ship them with them. You know, that along with them, they don't have to actually be installed. But it sure would save a lot of trouble of having to order them separately. Remember to get them separately. Make sure you get the right size and all that mess. When they could do that for you, because you know they're just a little piece of stamped metal. There, they can't be too expensive. Just add it into the cost of the strip, and well, just add it into the cost of the strip and send the dang things.
They're probably trying to make a little bit of money out of you.
Well, they could still do that. They could still sell the, you know, just add it to the cost of the strip. Man, why isn't that going there?
No, Heath, I'm not all dressed up. This is just a top and my nice jacket because it's a bit cold here. I'm actually at my mum and dad's tonight. This is my old bedroom. Yeah. No, I'm not going to show you all my old bedroom.
It's a little frosty here this morning. We had frost on the ground here this morning.
Oh. Yeah, we had a top of nearly 21 degrees Celsius, which is pretty cold for this time of year.
Oh, that's why it's not going in there. Okay, too early in the morning. Brain's not working.
So the red handle thing there, they're wire strippers, are they?
No, it's actually a crimper. This is a crimper actually for when I was doing my airplanes. This was for crimping the crimps on the pull cables and flying wires and stuff like that. That's what I use that for. But it works good for crimping these electrical the electrical connectors onto the wire. I also solder them. I don't just crimp them, but it's nice to have them crimp so they stay.
Heath says it has been really warm here this week.
Well, we've been real warm here. It was in the 70s, 70s, beautiful weather here this last week until yesterday. Storm blew in, and I mean, it rained like crazy yesterday morning, and now it's cool again. It's supposed to get to 60 today, I think. Which is seasonal for here.
Whilst we've got Sparky and Heath here, and anyone else who's interested, I'll just put in the link in the chat here. Why don't you jump on and have a chat with us?
Okay, where's my...
Just click on the link in the chat. That way, yes. I'll get it right. Stephen, hello.
So what I've got is I've got some bus wires coming from my controls. All going to be underneath the my boosters all be underneath the center section here. It's on a rolling dolly that I built, rolling cart, so I can move it around as I need to. Of course, I'll run my net cables off of that, local net cables off of that, but my main bus wires come out from underneath the mountain here. So I've got two sets coming on this side. One is for the upper deck, which is all of the narrow gauge that's not in the yard, and it'll do both decks on the upper side, but I haven't run the buses up there yet. So I'm going to tie on right here, and so you can see where I'm at. Turn this around. Come on, turn around. Well, I thought that turned. Does that not turn around? Guess not. Okay. Well, okay. So I'll just turn it this way. Okay. So anyway, here's the mountain. Here's my little cart that I've got on my booster, my power supply on, and I've got my one set of bus wires coming around to the last terminal strip on this side for the narrow gauge, and this is right in here. Underneath this box is where I've got it insulated from the lower section, which is all the standard gauge plus the yard. So from there on up, I've got to be able to get up to this upper deck with the power. I do have it wired up right here over from that side of the mountain. So that part of the upper deck is done, but I've got to get power from here, and I'm going to come up right behind here because the second deck will start right up here. I hope I'm showing you this right because I can't see the camera. And that way then I can carry the bus wire on around to go to the town that'll be at the end of that. And I'll do the same thing. I've already got the terminal block up here on the other side to go to the other direction. So that's what I'm doing this morning, is getting this up here.
Got to say, I am liking the backdrop up there too. It looks good.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing how much depth it gives your perspective when you do that. It just looks a lot better. I kind of wish, now that I've got it up there, and I'm gonna have a trestle right in front of that. I almost wish I'd have gotten one that was a little further view to get a little, even more
some depth.
Because if you look at this one, you can see how that's a further view. So it looks like that mountain's a long way off. Well, this one is much closer. In fact, this was the same backdrop. This was the left side of the backdrop. This was the right side of the backdrop. And I just ended up cutting off 6 feet off of this end and moving this down and putting that up over on that side. And I like it like that. That came out like I wanted. But I would have liked this one if it had looked like it was a little further off. But I was also going for some of the color in the trees and stuff, because I'm doing a fall timeline. So anyway,
you have to make those mountains.
That's what it is. You got to make little trade-offs. So anyway, I've got this pair of feeder wires run over to this one terminal block here, but I'm going to cut this and add another terminal block in so that I can come off of it and come up above. So that's what I'm doing right now. Something like that anyway. Sounds good. It sounds good. We'll see how it works. Not real exciting stuff, but
all battle plans fail to live beyond 5 minutes of the first 5 minutes of battle.
Yep. So true.
Hello, Crazy Joe.
Hey, Joel.
Hello, John 2618.
Joel did a live stream yesterday.
Yeah, Sparky made a comment here saying, great live stream yesterday. I like all the Hot Wheels you have. Are they all realistic vehicles or some strange ones? We've also got a John A. Dawson. Good morning.
Morning.
Who else?
Uh-oh. Can't solder that without some flux. Oh.
Who else we got here? Oh, hello, Bernard C. Yes,
Morning,
this
Bernard.
is the fun.
There it is up there. Make sure I don't put my flux brush in my coffee. Probably would change the taste just a bit.
Steve just said he's just watched your update, Claude. He's giving you a thumbs up.
He's probably just thumbing his nose at me.
Crazy Joe says, most of my Hot Wheels are realistic muscle cars and Volkswagens.
Volkswagens. Get in there.
And Crazy Joe also promises no surprise guests. I'm not in on that joke, so I must have missed something there. Excuse me.
Oh, I didn't mean to do that. All out of sequence here.
And John 2618 says, lol, that wouldn't taste good, Claude.
No, probably not.
I'm not sure who you're talking to there, Steve Arnold, but I'd vote for you. And John 2618 says, boy, I used to love Hot Wheels. Pretty sure they are boxed up somewhere. I used to be a Matchbox collector myself.
Yep, I had
like the airliners.
Well, I wasn't a Matchbox collector, although I had some, but I did have the Hot Wheels when they first came out. In fact, I had the first collector car that they ever made. I wish I still had it. It was
another Matchbox collector.
It was the Boss Mustang silver with the number 5 on it, done up like a race car. And you had, if I remember right, you had to send in 2 labels and 50 cents to get that car. And
That,
if you've got
Illinois?
it in the package, it's worth some money.
Oh, hello, Mike from Crossed Anchors. And Steve Arnold says, oh, hang on. He's voting for you, Claude, for president.
No, thank you.
I don't think I'd want that job either.
Well, you saw my comment in my video, right? And that's what he's referencing probably.
You got political.
No, I just forgot something, and I thought, well, at least, but I'm not running for president, so somebody that's going to be president should be able to remember stuff.
Mm. Speaking of remembering things, today's Remembrance Day.
Yes, it is.
The 11th of the 11th.
Well, originally it was called Armistice Day.
Correct. Yes.
The 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd call it a happy Veterans Day there, Mike, but each their own. Also, just for those who have just come in now, I will recopy and post here. So if anyone wants to do it on.
I thought maybe you were going to do a song and dance. Okay.
Steve Arnold calls it Veterans Day. We call it Remembrance Day, Heath. It's not a US holiday because it's the 11th of the 11th marks the end of the First World War when they signed the armistice. That's why they used to call it Armistice Day.
Yep. And then they changed it to Veterans Day.
War. So all the countries that were involved would be, for want of a better term, celebrating it. Or acknowledging it. That's probably a better word for it. Acknowledging it. You don't celebrate war.
Yeah, I had a great uncle that was killed. Well, he was gassed on this day, but he died the next day.
So that sucks.
He died after the.
That was a long, horrible death.
Yeah, and there's a guy named Dan Carlin. He's not a historian. He's a history buff, but he has read probably everything there is about World War I. He does other stuff too, but he has a show called Hardcore History, and he does it's like a 6-part series. It's a audio, like an audio book, but he does a 6-part series on World War I. And if you've never seen anything about World War I or studied anything beyond what the lousy high school textbooks give you,
yeah, they are pretty lousy too.
It's very, very interesting because people talk about how brutal wars were, but World War I was probably the worst. There was more I don't want to say ammo, but more bombs and and
ammunition.
Yeah, more ammunition from cannons and mines and guns and everything else shot in the Battle of Verdun than all of World War II combined, including the atomic bombs. So that tells you how brutal it is. In fact, there's still places in France and Belgium they won't let you go because there's still stuff in the ground.
Yeah, unexploded ordnance.
Yeah, they lose farmers all the time that are plowing and stuff that end up getting killed. But yeah, it was pretty nasty war. Pretty nasty war. And it's a shame they don't talk more about it than they do. You know, World War II is talked about, and it's, you know, except for the Holocaust part, they kind of glorify World War II.
Well, because there were a lot of innovations in World War II, like the innovation of the monoplane and fighter aircraft.
They had monoplane in World War I.
Miles per hour.
They had a monoplane. They had several monoplanes in World War One.
Yeah, but the fighter plane was
the Germans had the first metal monoplane, and it flew in World War One. It was the J-1, I think, is what they designated it.
Bernard C says, "Yep, Claude, Boss 429, boss of all bosses, Cougar Eliminator had a Boss 429 as well." And John 2618 says, "My boss is a huge supporter of Vets Day. Our whole company is closed today, and we got paid today." Oh, that's not bad.
No, that's a good deal there.
Mike from Crossed Anchors says, "We have Memorial Day for remembering our fallen heroes. In Australia, we have Anzac Day, which is the 25th of April. And that's the day we remember the World War I Anzacs that landed at Gallipoli and participated in World War I. Yes, I agree, Joe. War does suck. But a lot of innovations come from war. The little railways, the little narrow gauge railways from World War I that used to carry the troops and munitions to the front line were quite an innovation. They used to, they were quite literally like a giant train set. You had sections of track that they would just clip together so the trains could just about go anywhere they were needed. And they, you know, you didn't need proper railway engineers to run them.
Well, and the Germans, for the Battle of Verdun, a few months before the battle, they built an entire rail system just to go to Verdun. Because the whole idea of Verdun was to bleed the French white. And they almost succeeded. They weren't really trying to take Verdun. They were just trying to make the French defend it. And they did. And they paid for it.
Mm-hmm. Chuck CDP 1965. Can't stay, but wanted to say hello. Hope all have a great day.
Hey, Chuck.
Mike from Crossed Anchors. We have a special Veterans Day episode coming out today of an interview from when Brian was serving in Iraq. Ooh, that would be interesting. Yeah, it is quite sad, Joe. A lot of horses did die during World War I, particularly those of the light horse who charged at Beersheba. Morning, Joe Raider, Black Rock Central Railroad.
Hey, Joe.
Joe Raider says his grandfather was Army World War One, father World War II paratrooper, and he was USAF 68 to 72, and his son is a Marine. There you go. Lots of military in your family. I was RAAF from 2009 till 2017.
Well, I never served, because my birthday was the 15th of April, and I turned 18 in 75. Well, April 1st, they stopped the draft. And they probably wouldn't have taken me anyway because my eyesight, even though I was only 18.
I was
by the time there was anything come up that would have been there to serve for, I was too old. So I never served.
That would have been about the period of Vietnam, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it was the end of Vietnam. Because my sister, who's 7 years older than me, she had a lot of friends that went to Vietnam. So now I got my ends on. I put it on my barrier strip.
Hello to Crossed Anchors Railroad. I'm guessing that is Brian, not Mike.
Hey, Brian.
The other one.
Oh, is Mike here too?
I think so.
I don't think I said hello to Mike.
Steve Arnold's saying he turned 18 in July 75.
Yeah. See, I was getting ready to go down and register because you could, at that time, you could register in a 2-week window, either side of your 18th birthday. So I was getting ready to go down and, gearing up to go down and put my name in the hat, and they stopped the draft. So I never went.
Crazy Joe says they couldn't go because they were a type 1 diabetic. Yeah, diabetics weren't allowed in the RAF either. He seems to think it's Mike from Crossed Anchors is talking to himself. He just logged on twice. And Brian says that he was born in 75. What's that link you just sent through, Steve? Good morning, Jason the Train Freak.
Hey, Jason.
And the video that Brian's talking about was an actual radio interview he did whilst serving in Iraq. Joe Rader says, I went in the 16th of August, 68, and my draft notice came on the 17th. That's quick. And Bernard C. says his dad was on the Flat Top Enterprise Pacific Theatre, Midway. Ooh. One of the more famous battles of World War II.
And my dad tried to join 4 times, and they finally took him. He had bad eyesight too.
What do you do? You have to keep changing his name?
No, he just kept going down and applying. They finally took him, and he got on a boat. He was stationed in Panama for a long time. And then once he was moved to, he was in bomb disposal. One of the more fun jobs, I'm sure. And was on a troop ship twice to go to Europe, and both times they stopped in Puerto Rico and turned around. So he never got over there. But he did fall in love with Puerto Rico.
It's like my dad. He served over in Borneo, and he loves it there. Jason the Train Freak says, make sure you look at his mail call video that he posted last night, because I believe he's got the travelling boxcar.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, dummy. You know, they make the wires different colors for a reason.
Joe Rader says he spent his 4 years in a hole in the ground in Arkansas. And Steve Arnold says that his dad was Navy, World War II.
Well, I had a good friend in the flying club that flew F-4s in Vietnam.
Ooh.
And he wouldn't tell us a lot of stories because, and the military guys will understand this, he was Air Force flying off of carriers.
Classified.
Yep. He was doing a lot of CIA stuff. I'm assuming he's never said he was, but he won't talk about a lot of it for a good reason. He still won't talk about it. About what, but one story he did tell us was pretty funny. He said he comes up, he gets orders to fly into, I think it was Da Nang, and he walks out on the flight deck, and they're loading all these big duffel bags that are just stuffed full into his airplane. And he goes up to the guy and says, "What the hell's in these duffel bags?" And the guy said, "New York phone books." And he said, "New York phone books." And of course, New York phone books are yay thick, you know. And he goes, "New York phone books." He goes, "Yeah, they get $50 a piece for them in the country." The helicopter pilots, instead of sitting on the metal ammo or the metal plate that they would sit on so they can get shot in the butt when they're coming in, they would sit on these phone books because they stop bullets better. They stop a bullet better than the metal plate armor would. I thought that was pretty funny. But he said he must have had 50 of these duffel bags that were just stuffed to the hilt with New York phone books. So somebody was in the business of selling, buying and selling New York phone books in Vietnam.
There you go.
He had another good one, but I can't tell the story like he does. It was pretty funny. Needless to say, he had a senator's son that he had to take over to take pictures. And
yeah, that's CIA.
It's a long story, and it's pretty funny.
That just screams CIA.
It wasn't. It was this kid had just gotten out of the college and was a journalist of some sort. and Mike was tasked with taking him in country on a mission, relatively safe mission, and so he could get pictures. Well, I might as well tell a story now. I got to set up. So anyway, they would always tell people that they had like that hadn't flown not to eat breakfast when they're getting ready to go on a mission, right? Well, of course, this kid ate a full breakfast, and he's getting in the back seat of the F4, and he's got all these cameras. He said he must have had 3 or 4 cameras on him and all this other stuff. And he was real gung-ho, and, of course, he was a young kid, and he hadn't never been there, didn't know anything about it. And so they get to the place where they're going to drop napalm, I think he said. And they get to the place, and Mike comes in, has his 2 wingmen stay up high over him, and he goes in, he drops the napalm and pulls out, and all he can hear is the guy in the back screaming because he didn't get any pictures. He couldn't see anything. So, so Mike comes back up to his wingman and says, "Stay here. I'm going to go back in, take him back down for some more pictures." So he dives down, goes inverted about 500 feet off the deck, and he's flying upside down over where they just dropped the napalm, and then pulls out inverted. Well, pull out inverted, you get a lot of positive G's. Negative G's. And all he can hear when he went inverted with all the cameras and all the stuff in this guy's lap was hitting the canopy. Yeah, it was all falling up in the canopy. So anyway, he pulls out inverted, and he pulls back up, and he rolls over, and he doesn't hear another word from the guy the whole time. And they land back on the ship, and his crewman, his ground crew guy, was an 18-year-old kid. But those airplanes, once you're on the ship or on the ground, the air crew, the crewmen, ground crew guys have the airplane. It's their airplane then. Yeah. Well, this guy had thrown up all on the back of this F4. So he was all over the guy when he found out. And he had him out there for 3 hours cleaning that thing by hand. He had him out there with a bucket and all the stuff to clean it out. Never heard from that guy again. And he got chewed out. He got chewed out by his CO, but on the way out of the CO's office, the CO said, "For what it's worth, I'd have done the same thing." He got fined $50 and was grounded for a week. But being grounded for a week ain't no big deal. So that's relaxing time. But anyway, that was probably the funniest story he told. But you got to hear him tell it because he was there and he really went into detail about it. It was pretty good. Anyway, okay, I get that. Let me see, make sure I got this hooked up right here.
Just to go back to this comment from Heath, speaking of the traveling boxcar, any ideas what happened to the N-scale boxcar? I thought it was in the US, but I've not seen it yet. Don't think it's gotten to you yet.
Well, last I heard, Ron had it, but he was getting ready to go down for the hurricane relief that he was doing with his church, and I haven't heard anything since. So I don't know where it's gone. Shannon might know.
Yeah, we'd have to wait till the big man comes back.
Okay. That's what I thought.
Bernard C is making a comment here saying used as flak jackets, Claude. I'm assuming he's referring to the phone books.
The phone books? Yeah, well, he said they were sitting on them, but if they were good armor, I would think they'd stuff them pretty much any place they could.
Yeah. And John 2618, he says, my former chief pilot flew for the Blue Angels. Loved flying with him and hearing stories. Oh, tell you what, I do miss a good warry.
Yeah, my brother-in-law was a loadmaster on C-5s during the Vietnam War. In fact, he was, even though he wasn't an officer, he was basically second in command after the war of all the C5 load crews. And because he knew so much. In fact, when he retired, McDonnell Douglas finally got him to retire and go write the manual for the C-17s. But he said the most scared he ever was in Vietnam. He was the guy sitting there with the M14 on the tailgate of the C-130 that they landed in the jungle at an LZ to refuel the LZ. And all they had in the airplane was the crew up front, him in the back, and the guy that was dumping the fuel out the tailgate of the plane. You know, they dropped the tailgate down and he'd come out. He'd sit out there and he was supposed to be the guard. He said, they're right off the tip of the wing, within 30 feet of the tip of the wing is jungle you can't see through 3 feet. He said there could have been Viet Cong in there and they'd never ever seen them. And he said the airplane was full of, the reason they had anybody else on the airplane is because it was full of two rubber bladders that they carried the jet fuel for the helicopters, or aviation fuel for the helicopters. He said one bullet in that plane, the whole thing would have gone up. He said, and you're sitting out there feeling so insignificant. And I would not want to be in that kind of position, for sure. There we go.
Good morning, Schuylkill River Valley John.
Hey, John. Ooh, out of coffee. Okay, now, next. Oh.
Oh, my back is killing me.
You're back.
Yeah.
Oh, I got a good one, good comeback for that, you know, but I'm not going to say it. I like you too well.
Good. Because
see, when Steve tells me that something's hurting him, he said, man, my back's killing me, or my knees are killing me, or something. I said, well, that's a miracle. It's your face that's killing me.
Ouch. Oh,
Steve's a good guy. And we have found out we are so much alike between our ages. We're only a few months apart age-wise. Our wives are very similar in what they like and don't like. A lot of stuff like that. So it's it's been a lot of fun getting to know Steve.
Well, it's interesting that you mentioned that you get along so well because you're roughly the same age. See, my dad joined the army. Yeah, I'm the traitor. I joined the Air Force. When he joined the army, he joined up with a whole bunch of guys that were all roughly within 12 months of each other. Mm-hmm. So he gets along really well with all his army buddies. Yeah. And that's because they're all exactly the same generation. Yeah. You know, if they're all, 12 months apart or at the maximum of age, they all think and experience the same things the same way.
Oh, sure. Sure. You have the same basic memories growing up, what was on TV, what was on, radio, any of that kind of stuff. When you grow up in the same time period, you're going to have that. Okay.
And they have a very dark sense of humor too.
Oh yeah. Well, of course, I'm one of those that if you can't, I I believe if you can't laugh at yourself, you're pretty dull.
Yeah, you got to have a bit of humility, don't you?
Yeah, you got to be able to take a joke. I learned that early on just from my name, having the name I've got, because I got called all kinds of stuff. But
because I'm a redhead.
Yeah, you took it because you're a redhead. Yeah, and because kids are the worst as far as.
Oh yes.
As far as how they treat people. But I believe if you can't laugh at yourself, you're gonna have a long life that you're not probably gonna like.
It's gonna be sad and boring.
if you take everything so seriously that you can't relax a little bit and laugh at yourself, then yeah, it seems to me it would be a long, boring life.
Joe Raiders just put up a comment here saying, "Hey Heath, took advantage of your discount code at Iron Planet yesterday. He ordered 3 decoders. Ooh. What are they going into, Joe?"
Send one to me, Joe. I need one.
Yeah, John 2618 agrees with you, Claude. He says life is easier with tough skin.
Oh yeah. Yeah, if you take everything so seriously that you believe everything that everybody says about you, and even if they are, being sincere and say something mean about you, who cares? That's their problem. That's their problem. It shouldn't be your problem.
Yeah. Well, if someone is upset with you, not your problem. That's their problem.
Well, and I found the easiest way to get people to quit making fun of you is to laugh with them. If they see it doesn't bother you, they'll quit doing it.
Yeah.
Especially the kids, because that's what they're after, is to get you to
a reaction. They're after a reaction.
Yeah, and if you don't react, then they'll stop doing it because it's not worth the effort to them.
Got to say though, Claude, all that is within reason.
Sure.
There's certain things you don't joke about. Like,
oh well, sure, yeah. You can't. Like you have to know who you're around before you say something. I mean, Steve and I
know your audience.
Yeah, we can say stuff to each other. And I used to play in a foursome playing golf that, oh my God, it was fair game all the time. But you knew that going in. And everybody in our group was fine with it. It didn't bother, none of us got crazy about it. And anyway, yeah, you can't be just downright mean. I mean,
yeah,
they have to know the person that you're laughing at, for lack of a better term, has to know you're doing it in jest. And in fact, we had a 16-year-old kid that started flying. This has been several years ago now. He's now graduated from college and he's a pilot. But we used to make fun of him all the time. And I told him one time, I said, and this was back when he was 15 or 16, something like that. I said, now you do realize that if we didn't like you, we'd have run you off. We wouldn't be making fun of you. We'd have run you off. We're making fun of you because we like you. Ooh, that's hot. So, I mean, there are times too when like that, I would tell somebody something like that. And that's the truth. If I don't like them, I'm not going to make fun of them. I'm just not going to talk to them at all. They're not worth my time. So,
well, you're talking
that's my feelings on it. And so if I ever say anything to somebody that's watching or something and it upsets you, then I'm sorry. I probably didn't mean it. And you can always contact me and grab at me.
Email's down below.
Yeah. Well, email's on my site. You can go to my page and see it.
All the channels are down below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell icon, and buy T-shirts. No, that way. Heath from Humanity Junction says, I never laugh at myself. Everyone else does it, so I do not need to. And then he's put his website there, http://www.blameheath.com.
Yeah. Well, see, he says he doesn't laugh at himself, but by putting all those out, yeah, that's exactly what he's doing. And that's funny, but now I got to buy one of the damn cups, Heath.
Heath, I knew you would take that joke, that line too far. As soon as he said it, he says, Claude used to have a foursome every week, ?
Yeah. I did.
Don't worry. Jason has sorted him out. He says, golf, Heath, get your mind out of the gutter.
Well, that's what everybody else called it, golf. We didn't call it golf because none of us were very good. But
Heath's response is golf. Is that one of those sport things?
Yeah, that's right. He's in New York, so he didn't know what all that is. Okay, now for the fun part. I'm trying to feed this down in there. I think I can go right back there, and I think the coffee cup out of the way before I break it.
Question here from Crazy Josh. They say, I have a question. Is StreamYard how you are able to have multiple people on a stream? You can do it other ways. Shannon had this long, huge, multiple program, things talking to each other, left, right, and center way of doing things. But StreamYard, yes, you can do it. But to get all the features that we use, you do have to pay for them. We're not paying for them on StreamYard at the moment. So whilst I'm running it, that's why we don't have the thing down the bottom or the chat up on the side. All I can do is select different comments and stuff like that. So that's why it looks a bit different to how most of our normal shows run.
Didn't know it was in there. Okay, this is going to go down this way.
See you later, Steve, Arnold.
Steve leaving?
Yep. And he has to go as well. He says he's got to go to the bank because he tried growing money on trees and it didn't work out.
Yeah. Yeah, that never does work out. Well, Steve, be good. If you can't be good, be careful.
Be good or good at it. And Jason says, yes, StreamYard is what he uses, even when by himself.
Well, from everything I've seen of it, it seems to be pretty simple to use.
Yeah, it is actually quite simple, and you don't need like 1,000 different programs to run it, but it does. If you want all the features like banners and all that sort of stuff, it's gonna cost you. Oh, gotta move my back.
Well, nothing in life is free. It just may seem like it is, but it's not really.
Nothing in life is free.
because if nothing else, it costs you time.
Exactly. That's
Okay.
exactly.
Oh, by golly, I got that ready to go. Go figure.
Jason, I am actually running it today. That is me. That is under the Back on Track commenting thingamajig down in the chat. No, that way. That way, I think.
The thingamajig?
The thingamajig. That's a technical term.
Okay.
No Shannon today, I'm afraid. You guys missed him by about an hour.
You lucky dogs.
There are some how-to videos, Joe, on YouTube on how to do all that. I don't know where they are, but I'm sure if you Google them, they'll come up. And Mike from Crossed Anchors says we like StreamYards too. And I'm sure this is a stab at you, Claude. But here it is, Claude. Just ask Biden.
Say again?
It's a stab at you. Joe Rader says, sure it is, Claude. Just ask Biden.
Oh, about running for president? And not being able to know anything or remember anything? Yeah. Problem is, I got 6 months in the pool before they kick him out. Okay.
How is Shannon? Shannon is doing well. He's already gone off to bed because daylight savings doesn't work very well for him. It's over there, it'd probably be closer to almost 2 o'clock in the morning for him. So, yeah, he'll be asleep. And of course, he's going back to working for Trainwell tomorrow. That's what he said to me last. And he's also working for a car yard somewhere, I think, destroying cars or something like that. I can't remember. He talks a lot. You're welcome, Crazy Joe. And Joe Rader is made a comment here. I think it's a continuation of his previous one saying about free stuff. I'm not sure what he means there.
About who?
About free stuff.
Oh, free stuff?
Free stuff. He's misspelt stuff. It's stuff.
Well, he's probably like me. He's probably got fat fingers.
And Jason, the train freak, says Shannon talks about because I think he means a lot because he doesn't know how to stop talking.
Well, that's the truth.
It's actually funny because we were having a conversation earlier before the show with Shannon, and he was telling me about another person that talks a lot as well. And when they get together, you just can't stop them. They're just and they get interrupted by a customer and then straight back at it. And it's just funny that Shannon says he has trouble with people that talk a lot when he's the one that actually talks a lot. You're going to do an 18-minute flight today, John 2618. 18 minutes? What's that, one circuit? And Joe Raider says, free stuff from Biden.
Free stuff from Biden.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I even want to know.
Yeah, I think we're trying. You're getting a little bit too political there. We're trying not to get political on here. I know it's hypocritical of me to say it because my last video was very political, but I do try my best. All right. See you later, John. Schuylkill River Valley, John.
See you later, John. Okay, that's all ready to go up to the upper deck. Now I have to find another project.
Bong, bong. John 2618 says they moved the airplane away from the Hurricane. Now they've got to move it back.
Okay. Oh, down in
That's
Florida.
what they think that flight's about.
Yeah, see, I didn't even realize one was hitting Florida. I rarely watch I don't ever watch the news anymore because it's not news. And so I don't see the weather either. Unless I'm going somewhere. You know, if we had a cruise scheduled or something, would look and make sure there weren't any storms getting ready to happen, but then we don't go during hurricane season anyway. So for that reason. But unless I'm going to go play golf or something like that, and then I don't watch TV. I get an app, get on the app on my phone and look and see what it's going to be like. But yeah, I miss a lot of that kind of stuff. That's like Steve had to tell me when the rioting first started in Seattle back in the summertime, whenever it was it started.
Oh, yes.
We were talking one morning and he goes, "What, did you hear about Seattle?" I said, "No." What happened in Seattle?
Yeah, I'm getting a lot of my news.
Life is so much
YouTube.
nicer when you're not watching the news.
Yeah, I can pick and choose the news from YouTube now, so
yeah, and you can get more than one.
I don't have to watch the crap.
Yeah, you can get more than one source because you're watching it on TV, it's the same source all the time. There may be different, and it can be but it's all the same source.
Yeah, it can be very opinionated too.
Well, that's all it is opinion.
Yeah, that's same with newspapers these days.
So I say it's not news anymore. It's just opinion. Okay, got that done. Got that all tore up now. Replace all that. Okay. So anybody that's watching hadn't seen my update. I did an update yesterday, and I got the bridges all finished on the front. I can't see. That's weird. I can't turn that picture around. I thought we could.
You used to.
Well, whereby I can, but we're not using that.
Oh, you're not using whereby, of course.
Anyway, that's all scratch built. And so this is, except for probably putting some more trees and stuff as I go around that side. I may even put some more on this side. This is pretty much done. But I will put more trees in the trees on top. It's just making trees gets boring. But that's the summit where it comes out and goes over toward the cut, going over toward the other trestle over there. And then the one town will go this way on the Y. But anyway, there's that.
Yeah, John 18 says he loves it.
Thank you. Yeah, I it's funny because I had in mind what I wanted to do, and I just started building. I didn't know how I was going to do a lot of it. I just started going and started doing stuff and worked on it as I went and figured it out as I went. And now I sit back at it and I look at it and I go, I can't believe I built all this. Especially if something happens to me, then somebody's going to tear it all down.
All that work.
Yeah, it'll be my son's job because he's the one that got me into this mess in the first place.
His fault.
Yeah. Well, kind of. He was on YouTube and he saw somebody's layout, one of these fantastic looking layouts. And I said, oh, it'd be cool to do that. It'd be fun to build one with you. Well, he's helped me a little bit. He actually helped me put the backdrops up and some of the masonite. He helps me put all that up because it actually takes two people to get that up there without tearing everything else up.
Mm.
But he's made a few trees, but he's not done any painting, anything like that. But his building on this is going to be the brewery, and it's a Campbell kit. Brett's Brewery, I think, is what it's called. And he's going to have to build that. So we'll see how good he does. see if it'll pass inspection to go on the layout. But
He likes
the scenery part of it is what he likes. And I like the building the wood construction parts. I like the laying the rail and stuff. And the wiring to me is a little tedious, but I'm keeping it pretty simple, so it's not too bad. Anyway, it's getting there slowly but surely. So
Bernard C says, "Think everyone loves your mountain."
Well, it's definitely the elephant in the room. Definitely is. It looks a lot better now than it did when I first plastered it. Got done with the plaster and it was solid white. It was like, oh my God, it's so bright.
Yeah, it was a bit. Oh,
yeah, a little bit too much, but no, it's coming along. And I don't have any friends here that do train stuff. The one that I did have that I was friends with in the flying club, he passed away last week, and in fact, his funeral's Friday. I'll be going to that. But he hadn't even been up here to see it because he was 85 and it's upstairs. So he hadn't even been over here to see it. He's been in poor health for quite a while. But anyway, yeah, I won't be having any operating sessions, so to speak, except with me and my son, but that's fine too. But anyway, it's been a lot of fun. I enjoy doing it. I like working with my hands.
Joe Rader's asking, is there still access inside the helix / mountain?
Yes, sir. In fact, I just pulled off the other day. In fact, I can see where I put the pad down to get in there again. I just took the tape off that I had on all the track to keep the plaster from getting on it. And now I need to get in there and clean it all. So
I was going to say, have you run a train yet?
Not since I pulled the tape off. The only train I've run was over the trestle that I did in my video, because I know that's clean. But I didn't want to run the train over a lot of track that might have tape glue residue on. Even though I use blue painter's tape, it still can leave a little bit of a residue. And it's been on there for quite a while, so I didn't want to run the loco over that and get it all over the wheels of the loco too.
Oh, yeah.
So I'll get in there. I'll get in there with a bright boy, something like that first, and go over all the rail and then vacuum it up. And then I'll probably use something like no-ox or something like that to help with conductivity on the rail there with all of the engines. All of the track inside the helix is flex track. I did that because it's a lot faster. In fact, I'm going to use flex track probably on all the track on the upper deck too. I bought a whole bunch of HON3 flex track that I got a real good price on, and I couldn't pass it up because of the price. So even this piece, even the rail that's on this, let me see if I can get in there. that's on the bridge, on this upper bridge. This is actually flex track. This isn't individual rail. And all I did was I had it on there. It's soldered in on both sides. And then I just cut all the plastic ties off and put the bridge underneath it. So that's how that got done. And now it's spiked down to this bridge. And then I took a piece of the guardrails, a piece of code 40. I use code 70 on the rail, and then the guardrails are code 70 or code 40. Same thing down here. This is actually micro engineering bridge flex track. So all of these ties are plastic, just like a regular flex track. And then they've even have the plastic spikes that you can push and it comes with the guardrail, and you can push the guardrail into. So that's the way I opted to go that direction on this one. But yeah, it's I had the track already set up, so I knew what curve needed to be and all that good garbage, and now it's in there. And then of course, the forestry guys got to come in and take care of the tree that's growing up underneath there before it gets too big. I still got to put a lot of that kind of detail in it. But that's, that kind of stuff, a lot of that I'm waiting for my, to get further along and let the family come up here and do some of that stuff. Because all of them like doing the scenery stuff. They like the miniature stuff and all the scenery. So I'll let them do some of that, try to keep everybody involved. But yeah, it's going along. What time is it? 9 o'clock? Is that all?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it didn't take that long.
In the house, he says, "What is a bright boy?"
Well, that's one of the names of them. The one I've got's not actually a bright boy, but it's an abrasive eraser. It's like a those school erasers that you used to have, and it's just got grit in it. I don't like to use it a lot because it does scratch the rail. But when you've got a lot of residue on the rail, it's nice because you can just swipe over it and it'll take it right off. But what you want to always make sure you do if you use a bright boy, in my opinion, is vacuum right after that.
Because it sounds like the Pico track rubber.
Yeah, it's probably the same thing. In fact, the one I've got, if I can even find it, I'm not even sure where it's at right at the moment. It's around here somewhere. Anyway, it's smaller than a regular bright boy. And I can't remember who makes bright boy. I know Micro Engineering sells one, or at least I think they do. But the one I've got was kind of an off-brand, but it leaves a lot of the residue of the eraser on your track and stuff. So you want to make sure you vacuum it up because you don't want that stuff getting up in your engine. But I'll do that. I'll do that when I've got, for the original cleaning. Because even the stuff up here, all I did up here was actually just wiped off the paint when I weathered the rail. So it still needs to be cleaned. And I'll go through and do that real carefully and then vacuum it all up. And then I'll use something like No-Ox, which is a paste. Comes in a jar about that big. This is flux, but I think it looks about like this. And you put a little bit on the rail and then run your trains over it and it'll spread it through the layout. And it's to me, it would be better than using graphite because graphite can get up in your engine too. Mm-hmm. But it does basically the same thing as graphite does. But I think it'll probably do it better from what I hear about it. I know Ron Marsh uses No-Ox. But anyway, that's what I'll do. Once I clean it and vacuum it all up, then I'll take something like that and try spreading it around the layout. I just bought an engine for pulling a track cleaner that I bought from Nate. This I didn't buy from Nate. This I bought from a guy on eBay, and it's just an Athearn Hustler diesel engine, but he's made it to narrow gauge, and it's got a can motor and worm gear drive on both axles, and it's nice and heavy. So it should pull the track cleaning car pretty well. And it's small enough, even though it's an HO full scale size engine, it's small enough that it'll go through everything without knocking, trackside stuff off. Because that's one thing you have to be careful of when you go from use a full size HO engine, which he makes several different kinds. He's got some that he's bashed together and stuff like that. And then he makes them all narrow gauge. And I'm sure that's what they're for, is to be a narrow gauge diesel in a yard or something like that. But it runs really well. So I think it'll work good for my track cleaning car. Excuse me.
Jason, the train freak, says he's laying cork roll right now for the industrial complex. Much easier than cork roadbed the whole thing. I assume like he's talking about sheets of it.
Oh yeah, well I did that in the yard here. Yeah, these are 2 foot by 3 foot, something like that. Sheets are 1/4 inch thick, and that's what I did here in the yard. Was just did the sheets, and then I just bring the cork up to it, the roadbed cork up to it, and it matches up perfectly. So yeah, that's great for any big area like that, instead of running the individual cork and then having to fill in between it to make it look like a yard. Then over here on this side, I'm going to have, where this homosode is, I'm going to have a cattle yard and transfer between the gauges. But I just built it up high enough here. I hope you can see that. That when I bring the track in here with the cork, it'll just match right up and go on over.
Nice.
So, but yeah, the sheet cork is good. And did you say it was Jason that was doing that?
Yeah, Jason's actually asking, did you set your buildings on the cork or cut around them?
You could do it either way, I'm assuming. I don't have any buildings on there yet, on the cork. The only building I even have in place is the stamp mill here. And that's actually built on its own piece of plywood. And then I cut a place in the plaster to set it down, and then put a little bit more around it to, fill in. But that's the only building I've got set in place right now. But I was going to ask Jason what he's using for putting down his cork. I used
wood glue would be suffice.
It might work. Yeah, it would probably work, because that's what I glued down. That's what I glued down my roadbed cork with, is wood glue. So that would work. I did on this though. I used where's it at? Can you find it? See? Nope, that's not it either. I was gonna use. Oh, here it is. I was gonna use spray adhesive, kind of like this.
I don't think it'd be strong enough, would it?
I was going to use spray. Oh yeah, it would be. If you do it right, it will be. But I didn't have this. I had Gorilla, and the Gorilla, for some reason, it may have been just that one can I had, but it leaked between the top nozzle and the stem, and it just got all over everything. So that went in the trash, and I changed roads. And I used to do countertops, Formica countertops, and this is what I used to use to put Formica countertops down. This stuff will hold great. It's just regular contact cement, and you put it on both sides, let it dry, and then you use a roller and press it down. The one thing you have to watch for this is it's highly flammable. The vapor off of it is. So you don't want to use it around any place where you've got open flame, because it will flash, and it wouldn't be pretty. Would not be pretty at all. Well, the flame might be pretty, but results wouldn't be all that great.
John 218 responded. He says, I put everything on the cork, Jason, although be sure not to leave any unglued areas under the cork, as when you scenic and add alcohol, it will bubble if not all glued down.
Yep.
Very good tip there, John.
Well, I don't use a lot of alcohol in my scenery stuff. I use just a little bit of dish soap in my glue. So I don't have the alcohol problem there, but he's right. And that's the nice thing about using that contact cement is you put it on the whole thing. You don't leave any void spots. You put it on everything there. You put it on every place on the wood that you're putting it on. You cover all of it. Let it dry to it's not wet. It's just barely tacky to the touch. And then once you lay it on there, it won't come up. You'd have to use something like a spatula, or, a mud knife or something to get it up, because it'll be stuck down pretty good. Oh, mercy.
Okay, see you later, Joe Raider.
See you later, Joe.
Jason the Train Freak says he uses track nails in a grid.
Yeah, you can do that. The problem with that is the problem with just using track nails, if you're not gluing it down, is it can buckle with temperature. Now the cork doesn't do it very much, but it's possible that it could do it, and you'd have loose spots underneath, hollow spots underneath.
Yeah, that's what. That's what John 2618 says. He says the cork expands when it gets wet. Had my track bubble up in some areas on a previous layout.
Yep. Yeah, it's because they're two different materials, they're going to move. That's just going to happen. So if it's not glued down, it's going to move at some point. I'll be right back. I'm going to get some more coffee.
More mud. Let's see. How many likes have we got? All right, guys. We've had up to 13 people here, but we've still only got 8 likes. What's going on there? Come on. Hit that like button. Let's see. Why has everybody gone quiet all of a sudden? Oops, pressed a button. John 2618, are you actually sitting in the plane right now as you're chatting to us? Yes, I agree, Bernard C. There's some great tips coming from John 2618 today. Very, very well done. Very handy. What are you doing as base coats there, Jason? Because I see you plan on painting a couple of base coats before adding scenery. Ah, you're not in the plane at the moment. You're just waiting for permission to go get the plane. I thought you got a bit quiet there, Bernard. Yes, you're welcome to jump on, Jason, if you've got a moment. I think I put the link in the chat here somewhere. I can put it in again for you. There you go. And here comes Claude.
Fresh coffee.
Coffee.
Oh, mercy.
Neck is killing me.
What was that?
My neck hurting
Ah,
and sighing at the same time.
yeah, I know about back hurting, back, neck, and all that. Knees, feet.
All the fun stuff.
Oh yeah. Yeah, like I say, that's what I told my wife. I wake up and something's not hurting, I'll know I'm dead. Okay.
Hello, train freak.
What should I do next?
How are y'all? Let's see if I can
Hey,
lower my
Jacob.
camera so y'all can see what I'm working on. Hey, Claude, how are you?
What are you?
I'm good.
Uh,
Yeah, Jason
go a
and
little
I
lower.
aren't too terribly far apart.
Just a few hours.
Yeah.
What, maybe 4 hours, maybe?
I've never timed it. I've been to Little Rock a couple of times.
I'm only 30 minutes northeast.
I'm sorry?
30 minutes northeast of Little Rock.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, it'd be about 4.5, 5 hours.
But no, I've been, so that way I can show everybody what I got. I don't know if y'all, well, I'm not used to this. It's a 24 inch by 48 inch. So 2 foot by 4 foot.
Okay.
Corporal, it's from Hobby Lobby.
Yeah. I got mine from Home Depot. And it came in flat sheets, but it was like 5 of them to a package.
Okay.
So, and I forgot it was like $40 for the package of 5 or something like that. So, yeah, it worked really well.
I haven't seen any here from Home Depot. What section did you go to?
I want to say, trying to remember where I got it. I got it so long ago. I want to say it was in with like shelving and stuff like that.
Okay.
But I wouldn't swear to it. It could have been in there somewhere around, flooring and all that mess. It may have been in the flooring section.
Flooring. Okay. I'll check.
They sell stuff like that for underlayment, on carpet and laminate flooring. So that's probably where it was in flooring. I looked it up online first to make sure if they even had anything like that. And I saw that and I said, oh, that'd be perfect. I need a package of that. You can also buy it in, 12-inch squares. And place like Hobby Lobby would have that where, you can glue it in 12-inch square pieces. These are for bulletin board material.
Yeah, I've seen where Hobby Lobby's got the squares. But it's pretty much cost effective if you just buy the roll.
Yeah.
Because I can get like a 2x4 inch roll for $20. By the time you pay for 2 squares, it's like 25 just about.
Yeah. Well,
I just get the
like
roll.
I say, this was, I want to say it was about $40 for 5 2x3 pieces. So I did the whole yard.
Okay.
I did my whole yard for $40. So it was pretty cost effective. And then of course you got to buy the adhesive to put it down with, but that wasn't any big deal. I'd used that Weldwood contact cement before. Like I say, the only thing
That's the crazy thing.
I'm using people. Yeah, I want to always caution people when I tell them
I'm not using any adhesive. I said I'm not using any adhesive.
Oh, okay. I've been
just using
anytime I tell them about that Weldwood that it's very, very flammable, the vapor off of it, and it will sink to the floor. And so you got to be very careful that you don't have anything like, we got fireplace logs. I wouldn't want to do it and have the fireplace logs on, even though I'm upstairs, because it'll go right down the stairs. Right. Just like dry ice would. If you picture dry ice,
mm-hmm.
It'll do the same thing, and then it gets down there and it'll flash, and it'll go like gasoline. So
yeah, that's not
very, very careful with it. Plus, it's not great for you to breathe, so I try not to do too much at one time. I do one piece at a time, let it dry, then come back, put it down, and then do the next piece. Because once it dries, the fumes go away.
Okay. I mean, that's good to know.
Yeah,
this is the first time I'm using this.
Yeah,
I've got like a delay or something.
It works really good for any kind of sheet good, pretty much, as long as it's compatible. I wouldn't use it on vinyl, like a vinyl floor, although you probably could.
Yeah.
But any kind of, for mica, I used it on Swanstone countertops, which is a solid surface countertop. That's what I made those with. I think they use basically the same thing when they used to do the Corian countertops, which you don't see much of that anymore. Everybody's going to granite and marble, but it is good adhesive for sheet goods. More junk in the way.
It's a nice looking grain elevator you got there, Jason.
Thank you. Looks better when you get it longer too.
Yeah, we don't have any of those in Oklahoma.
What I plan on doing is I'm going to paint it later, but it's going to say Riceland, because Riceland is like a huge Arkansas company. Mm-hmm. And the way the silos are painted, they have like a letter on each silo. So that's why I'm trying to get the extra.
Yeah, that'll look good. Well, it's like driving through, we go to Colorado a lot of times. We'll drive out through the panhandle of Oklahoma, and it's, high plains and pretty sparse out 412. And you can always tell how close you are to the next town because you can see the grain elevator off in the distance. And there's always a grain elevator in the town.
Eastern Arkansas is the same way.
Is it?
Exact same. Yeah.
You'd be surprised, but it's exactly the same in Australia too. Grandpa Rails also says he's just stopping by to say hello whilst he's at work.
Hey, John.
Let's see here. I got some flex here somewhere.
Hey, Jason Bernard wants to know what the last box was today. I'm assuming he's talking about a mail call. Yeah, that's what he said. What was in the last box today? Did you do a video this morning?
I did it yesterday.
Hey, Dwight. I hadn't been looking at chat until just now, so I'm sure I missed half
Yeah,
of them.
I can't even see the chat.
Yeah, well, I can't. I've got my iPad up here, but my iPad is old, and it was 100% when we started this morning, and I'm already down to 67%, so it won't last long.
Yeah. This was what was in the last box. And I haven't been able to do any type of operations on my layout yet, so it's actually going to be on my first operation train.
Oh, there you go. Well, my guess is that comes to me after it leaves you. I don't know the sequence, but since we're close together, I was thinking that. But
I'd have to check with Shannon on that one. I don't know. I don't know how he's got it all saved on his computer.
Well, it may go further east first and then come back to me on the way back to Steve.
Yeah. I don't know if y'all can see. That probably looks a little better once I put a piece of track and some grain cars.
Yeah, it gives it some perspective.
There we go. Yeah. This is one of the industries that's going to be on the back. What I had to end up doing was, this was on the back piece. It's like a truck bay. On the back side of this, I just went ahead and took it off. And then I got a couple of these that go on top. But one of them broke as I was storing it, so I got to remodify it and fix it.
Crazy Joe says here in Southwest Kansas, we have grain elevators all over the place. One down the street from my place.
Oh yeah. Well, Crazy Joe, you know, she's just north of Highway 412 that runs east-west through Oklahoma, the northern part of Oklahoma. And so she's probably not very far north of that, because you're in Garden City, right, Joe? I think that's where she was in Garden City. She's not all that far from me, really. Probably 3, maybe 4 hours. So I'm in the middle between Jason and Crazy Joe. Some
of the towns around where I'm at have multiple grain silos, because you'll have like competitor companies, one on one side of town, one on the other side of town.
Well, like, and I'm sure it's this way in Kansas too. In Oklahoma, they have so many of the co-ops. So many of them are co-ops. Yeah. So they all bring it to one place. Now they may have, multiple elevators there, but rarely are they as big as what you've got there on your layout. In the small towns. Now the bigger towns may have something like that, but the smaller ones may only have 3 or 4 towers on them. But they're all right there next to the tracks and the highway. You know you're coming to the town when you can see the grain silos off in the distance.
Mm-hmm. A lot of the towns along like it's I-40, but it's a US 70. Mm-hmm. And those towns are like 10 miles apart, and that used to be the Rock Island line from Little Rock to Memphis. And a lot of theirs are not like, 2 rows by 8. Lone Oaks is like 3 wide, but it's 4 deep. And then you go to Carlisle, and it's like 3 deep and 6 wide. It's like so many different combinations. Yeah. And I guess it just depends on the town and, which company, because Riceland's big, and then the other one is producers.
Well, you also get the different times that they build them. They're not all built the same time. So they build them as they need them. Joe, I'm in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Right.
Bernard C. says he has 0 big grain elevators where he is. Have some smaller cyanide ones, though.
Yeah. I may go see Bernard when I get older.
Yeah, we don't tend to have terribly many different grain operators here in Australia. Western Australia, the biggest one is CBH, but we've got or CBH Group, but we've got a couple. The old Midland Railway was interesting because all the stations were roughly 12 miles apart. And the reason for that being is that's how far a loco could go without water.
Yeah.
So all the sidings you can, all the old sidings, not all of them are there anymore, but all the old sidings were roughly 12 miles apart. Nope.
Well, Oklahoma and Kansas, Arkansas's got quite a bit too, but Oklahoma and Kansas especially, Nebraska, eastern Colorado, all the high plains like that, Iowa, southern Minnesota and Illinois all have lots of grain elevators because there's so much agriculture.
And depending on what part of Arkansas you're at would depend on what's stored in those grain silos too.
Oh, sure.
If you go like eastern Arkansas and the Mississippi Delta, and probably I would say the Arkansas River Valley, which runs through the middle of the state, you would see a lot of rice, soybean, and corn.
Mm-hmm.
If you go more southern Arkansas, where there's a lot of cattle, and I would even say north central Arkansas, there's a lot of cattle there too. They store a lot of milo for cattle and chicken feed.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, a lot of chicken.
Some of the things I know.
A lot of chicken farms up on northern Arkansas, and that's the last thing you want to get caught behind. Is one of the trucks was there to clean the coops out. It's not a good smell.
That and the chicken trucks themselves are not good either.
No, they're not. But the ones that they were there to clean all the crap out of the coops. Oh my God. We got stuck behind one on a 2-lane Arkansas road one time coming home from Bull Shoals Lake, and it was hot summertime, and I mean, even with the windows rolled up, it was about to drive us crazy. I had to back off and let the truck go down the road, and then we started up again because if you got within a quarter mile of him, you couldn't stand the smell.
Right. Yeah, it's tough. They have. I grew up in southeast Arkansas, right where you had farmland on one side, and then it was pretty much cattle on the other, cattle and chickens.
Mm-hmm.
And going south towards Warren, and it was just like chicken house after chicken house after chicken house.
Yep.
I've just shared a picture of the Albany grain silos for just a bit of reference. This is a cooperative bulk handling group, one in the Great Southern area of Western Australia. And they do look very much like the American ones.
Yeah. Well, they make them that way for a reason. They must work well.
And on the right-hand side, you'll probably see that's where the you probably can't see it in that shot just looking at it. But that would be where the ships are. So the trains come in, store them in the silos until the ships come in, go across into the loader and into the ship.
Yeah. Well, here they bring it in. Most of them bring it in by truck from the fields. They'll put them in the co-ops and then dump them in the trains. And the trains will take them. Of course, we don't have a lot of ships in the middle of Oklahoma, so although we do get some, mainly tugboats up the Arkansas River.
Well, we export a lot of our grain, so.
Because we actually have a port here just east of where I live here, about 6-7 miles east of me is the Port of Catoosa. And they actually bring barges all the way from the Mississippi River and New Orleans area up the Arkansas and through the locks on the Verdigris River and take a lot of grain and stuff out that way. They've got a lot of silos right there at that port.
I'm trying to think, wasn't the 2 barges that broke loose, what was it, a couple years ago when the river flooded so bad? They were carrying what, fertilizer?
Could have been. Are you talking about the one that took the bridge down on I-40?
No, I'm talking about it's pretty recent. I think it was in 18. It was either April of 18 or April of last year.
Yeah, I remember seeing that, and they got caught against one of the bridge abutments and rolled them over or something. Rolled them under the water.
Finally, it hit the dam right before it got to I-40.
Oh, okay.
And that's what collapsed.
Maybe that's what I saw it hitting. And of course, anytime you hit like that and the water running against it, and it flips it over.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was just a couple of years ago. Now, the one I'm thinking of was probably more like 15 years ago. 15, 20.
Yeah, when the actual barge ran into the I-40 bridge. Yeah, I remember that too.
Yeah, that was not a good thing. Several people got killed in that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, speaking of boats, good question there, Bernard C. Where did Mike and Brian float off to? I wasn't aware that they had any other streams going or anything.
Oh, mercy. I'm trying to think of what else I can do right now that's not going to be too messy.
That crossover flows smooth.
Well, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
I did find something I'm going to have to deal with inside the mountain. 2 places where I had home soap coming together. For some reason, one of them has raised up, and I noticed there's a little hump in the track. And I don't remember seeing that when I was running trains on it before I started the mountain, but I don't know if it's moved, if one of them's dropped down. I don't think it dropped down. I think there's just a hump right there at the seam. And I've got to have to get under here and see if I can't figure out a way to take the homosote out from under the track right there at that spot. So the track will drop back down level. I'm not looking forward to doing that.
Fun and games.
Yeah, because that'll be down on my back on the floor trying to reach up in there and do that. But it's going to have to be done because I got a feeling if I don't, it'll end up giving me trouble. Although I haven't tried to run a train on it since I saw it, so it may not be a big deal. But
well, the only thing with this cork roll, it's just a hair shorter than the cork row bed. So it's like, I mean, it's literally just a little bit shorter.
Yeah.
And so it's like, it's probably better if I just take my phone off the stand and show you all.
You're breaking up there a bit. And I think we've lost him.
All right. I'm going to flip it over. Oh, I'm back.
Yeah, that was the nice thing about the cork sheets that I got. It was exactly the same height as the cork road bed.
Yeah, so it's like right, I don't know if y'all can tell or not, but right here it's like a little bit of the lean, you know, going from this turnout to this one up here. But I'm putting in 2 double crossovers. This is a Shinohara. And then up here, That's actually 4 number 6s and a 19-degree crossing. And the Shinohara gives me a 2-inch spacing between holes, and the number 6 gives me an inch, which would be great from my yard.
We missed some of that, Jason. You cut in and out a bit there.
Sorry,
Yeah, I saw
Wi-Fi's
that.
not
I
real
saw
good
that
out
on
here.
Jason's. I saw that on his last update.
Yeah.
I think you were talking about that, weren't you?
Yes, sir, I was.
Because the belt crossover is much tighter, much closer together on the tracks.
Yeah.
It's hard to do that. You can do it. You can do it with the products, you know, with a separate crossing and 4 turnouts, but you got to modify them to get it there.
I even looked at trying to modify it, and it was just going to be too much work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you'd have to cut everything down.
But I got a copy of, or I borrowed a copy of, it was like a model railroader freight yards magazine. It was just on freight yards, industrial yards, things like that. And what the railroad would do would have a bigger spacing between their main line and all their freight sidings, or if it was an industrial complex. So that way, the main lines wouldn't have to literally restrict down to yard speeds. They could keep going at a faster pace.
Yeah.
Because you got that bigger spacing there.
Yeah.
And so with the number 6s and the 19-degree crossing, it makes a 3-inch space. So you're adding that extra inch, which, you know, to me, it worked perfectly. I did run into one issue with the insulated rail joiners, but I don't think it's going to be too big of an issue.
Yeah.
And that's where the rails on the 2 1-inch for my block detection, they're a little gapped. So I might get a little extra clickety-clack, but, you know, it should be fine.
Yeah, that's prototypical.
Yeah.
Especially over crossings and stuff, man. You get a lot of clickety-clack over crossings.
The biggest issue we had with those Shinohara crossings was they kept going out of gauge. So just keep checking that. Make sure that they stay in gauge.
Oh, really?
I've
not ever had one of them, but you're talking about the crossover? The double crossover?
Yeah, the Shinohara one.
I've never had one, but I have had some of the regular turnouts, and those seem to be fine for the time that I had them. In fact, I've still got them. If somebody wants them, they can have them. You need some curved turnouts, Jason?
Possibly.
Let me go see what I got back here. No. Yeah, before I bought the fast track stuff and I started doing my own, I bought some of these Shinoharas, and they weren't DCC friendly, so I made them that way. But I've got there's a straight one.
Yeah, they are not DCC friendly.
Well, they make some that are, or they did make some that were, but not all of them are. And I think these are code 100. I don't know what code rail you're running.
100.
Okay, now see, this one is. Shows the gap on there or not. But it's right here, right in here. That's actually a plastic gap in there. There and there. So this one's already made, and it's already got the jumpers on the bottom. But like these, I had to add them. Oh, that was DC friendly too. This one's not. So you can see I've added some ties and stuff in here to make it DC friendly. Put my own plastic in, and then put my own jumpers on the bottom.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I think all of these are 100, and then I've got the curved turnouts. Here's one.
They're nice big turnouts.
Yeah, these are, this is a 7.5 curve turnout. This one is, I think, oh, that's a 7.5. And I want to say, let's see if it says on here, 28 and 32 radius on those 7.5.
Oh, wow.
And then this one is 36 and 32. It's a number 8 curve turnout. Oh, and that's just all pieces of track. Anyway, if you want them, I'll send them to you.
Yeah,
I'm not going to use them, and I'm not going to try and sell them on eBay. So if you want them, they're yours.
Oh, well, I appreciate that. Yeah, the only one I have right now, this is an Atlas. It's one of the newer ones they came out with.
Yeah.
It's 24 and a 28, I think. So I've been using a few of these, and this is the only one I got left, which will go way over there somewhere.
Now, I had all these installed on my layout and running, but they've been in a box since. So you would have to go over them and check them real good. And of course, I cut them off because I soldered the rail together. I cut them off on the track side, you know, so you could take a soldering iron and unsolder, pull those off.
Okay.
But if you can use them, yeah, you can have them. Because like I say, they're just in my way here.
And what are they? Are they right or left? Okay.
Let's see. Well, there's a combination of. Okay. One. How's that? Didn't say what size that is. I think that's a 6. A right hand, 2 right hands, 3 right hands. The straight ones are all right hand.
Okay.
The curved, I got 1 left and 2 right.
Okay.
But that was on my original. They were on my original track plan that I was going to do. And when I changed and went to the one I've got now, I just took all this up, bought the fast track stuff, and started making my own.
That's cool.
And because I was going to have so many more turnouts, I got to figuring it was going to be cheaper to do it that way. And I've probably got, I probably have $2,000 worth of fast track stuff, jigs and stuff. But I can make anything I need because you go to a number 6 dual gauge turnout. The Shinoharas were like $50 a piece.
Mm-hmm.
And half the time you got them, they were used. They weren't even new ones, you know?
Right.
So I thought at $50 a piece, and I think I've got 6 just here in the yard, and I've still got some more I've got to build over here on the other side. But then I can build, you know, the standard dual gauge going in and one going one way and the other going the other way, you know, if I want to, or dual gauge both going that way and a single line gauge going off one side, or any combination thereof. But you can't find those commercially unless somebody's building them that you're buying them from them. And so I just bit the bullet and bought the stuff, and I enjoy building the turnouts. So that's a lot of fun, and they look great. They look better than the commercial stuff, especially once they're painted.
Oh, I bet. I haven't got that far into the hobby on that. You know.
Yeah, well, it is a, you know, to go that way, it is a financial, you know, bullet that you got to bite because it's not cheap. In fact, they've gone up quite a bit since I bought them. All the jigs that I bought were, well, the first 2 were about $120 a piece, but I think they're about $150 a piece now for the dual gauge. But I can build all my narrow gauge straight turnouts and all my standard gauge straight turnouts, and any combination of the dual gauge that I want with those 2 jigs. So, you know, to me, it was just made sense. But, you know, I know some people can't afford that, and I was blessed to be in a position where I could do it. So, just don't tell my wife. She doesn't care.
Hello, Dave P.
Dave P. Hey, Dave. Welcome to the insane asylum.
Well, yeah, I could definitely use the curved ones because one of the issues I have run into is, the sawdust complex that I'm going to be putting in the middle of the lower helix, at the top of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's 1 3/4 inches higher than the rest of the layout here. And for me to kind of keep it close to, a 2 to 2.5 inch grade, I'm gonna have to make a curved track and do like a switchback,
Mm-hmm.
A zigzag.
Basically a zigzag, but with curved switches. And because if I tried to go a straight track, it would have been more like a 4% grade. And, that's pretty stressful on, a single switcher locomotive.
Switch back like that?
Yeah.
We have curved zigzags here in Australia.
Yeah. It's they save so much space. That's what's really nice about a curved turnout. You can, I've got, right here in this group, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 curved turnouts right here. And there's 6 tracks, and they're all right here in this one little corner right here. So yeah, it saves a bunch of space. And then over on the other side, I've got them coming into the yard over there. I think I've got some coming in the yard over here.
Yeah,
I've got one going into the narrow gauge part of the yard.
I've got 2 over here on the yard. I didn't do a standard yard ladder. I did what they call a compound ladder.
Mm-hmm.
So I got 2 there, and then I have 1 that comes from the balloon loop and goes into a number 6 to kind of make like a crossover. And then let's see, where do I have my other ones? I've got 1 that's going to go for 2 industries that way, and that's all I have right now. So I've got 4, and I thought I had some more put up somewhere, but I can't find them. But I hear that's pretty common against, for us modelers to put it up and you forget where you put it.
Oh yeah. When I decided to do a layout, I started buying stuff on eBay, a little bit here, a little bit there. And I've got boxes of stuff back here. I'm not even sure what's in them.
Yeah.
Because I've had it for 2 years and not ever gotten back into them. I put them in the box because it's all scenery stuff, people and crates and barrels and animals and, cars and all that kind of stuff. And so I'll have to go through that when I start putting stuff on the layout. In fact, the little deer that I've got sitting under this trestle here, I had to go looking for them. And then the lumberjack guy that's cutting down the tree into the other trestle, I had to dig for that one. I thought I had one, but about halfway through that box, I'm going, I'm not sure I had one. But I did find him finally. But yeah, that happens a lot.
Well, that's like I've got, 2 of these big totes full of kits that ain't even been put together yet.
Welcome to my
Guilty.
Yeah, and I came across one of them, and I was like, dang, I forgot I had this one.
Yeah. It's like Christmas again, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm telling you.
Yeah, I was digging through one the other day trying to find something, and I found 3 kits I forgot I even had. I'm going, well, that'll be cool. I know where I can put that. And I probably bought it with a particular place in mind to put it, but stuck it in a box and forgot I even had the thing.
2 of the kits they actually go together, except they're a roundhouse, but they're passenger cars. And it's like 3 are in one kit and then another 3 are in the other kit. And I'm thinking about maybe putting those together on Sidetrack Sunday, this Sunday, because it'll be my turn. I was thinking about maybe putting those together that night. So, and they're an old kit.
Yeah.
I thought that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, the roundhouse kits are.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I've got some Sudum kits that are buildings that are all metal. Everything on it's metal. You're supposed to solder them together.
Oh, wow.
I don't think I'm going to solder them. I'll probably glue them. I've got some glue that'll glue that together. But all the corner pieces and everything, like angle iron, and they're supposed to be soldered. And then all the panels, most of them are corrugated metals. And they're really old kits, but I got them on eBay really cheap for what I wanted. In fact, some of them I sold because I bought a roundhouse on there and a bunch of extra stalls, and I ended up selling that to 2 different people on eBay.
That's cool.
Is that a rail bus or rail car?
It's a carriage. It's a
Okay, just a coach.
rise JA dog box. Like with the side doors and the compartments. It's unpainted, but it's a kit that I didn't know I had. I forgot I had. It was put together by another bloke, friend of mine over east, and it's been sitting in this box, and I found it the other day, so I took it to the club. It's pretty much all ready to go. It just hasn't been painted.
Yeah, well, I've got a bunch of car kits because in the narrow gauge, that's pretty much how you have to buy them unless you get. Well, Microtrains made some for a while, and then Blackstone makes some, but Blackstone's sold out everywhere except the individuals that have them, and they want 3 times what they came out with, originally. So you don't find a lot of commercially available stuff except kits for the narrow gauge.
Have you looked on Soundtrack's website for the Blackstone stuff?
I'm sorry, say again?
Have you looked on Soundtrack's website for the Blackstone stuff?
Yep. They're sold out of their factory's sold out of everything.
Oh, wow.
The only place you'll find it's if a hobby shop's got it still, or someplace like Train World might have some, and that includes the engines or the rolling stock. And then the other stuff you find it on eBay, but the stuff that went for $45 when it was new, they want $90, $100 for. If it's a passenger car, they want more than that.
Oh, yeah, diesel.
$100 a car for a little bitty old narrow gauge stuff. So I bought kits and stuff, and I'll build my own if I have to. I've got some stuff I've bought that people built from kits. Some of it looks really good, some of it's not so good, but I usually get a pretty good price on it. So, in fact, I just bought another reefer that is built. Look pretty good shape, on eBay, but I'll find out when it gets here. Sometimes you get a really good deal, and sometimes you don't. That's just kind of the thing you do with eBay. But
that was like this double crossover. The pictures on eBay look great, and when he sent it to me in a pretty good sized box, but he didn't pack it at all.
Oh,
it was just wrapped one time in bubble wrap, and literally every single leg came off the ties, and so I had to re-glue it. And
man,
yeah, and it still started popping up. So I've got some of the track nails that you can, use for if you're doing like your own ties and stuff.
And spiking them, yeah.
And I've had to spike a few pieces of it just to keep the rail in place.
Yeah. That's like I say. That's the one thing you take, and of course, anymore because eBay and PayPal are basically the same company. They'll back it. So if you want to, you can make a claim and send it back, or get your money back out of it. So.
Well, I get such a good deal on this one because it came from Canada. Like most of these Shinohara double crossovers have been going for like $100 on bids.
Mm-hmm.
And this one here, I guess because a lot of people will only buy US only, I was able to score it for like $70 by the time the exchange rate, happened, and that was after shipping.
Yeah.
They're bidding before shipping $100.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, no, I'm gonna go ahead and try to fix it. You know, and luckily enough, it's there. So
Yeah. Yeah, I've run across that a bunch where, you know, you got such a good deal on it, even if it's not perfect when you get it, it's still worth it.
oh yeah,
You know, I have only had one thing on eBay that I bought that I just threw it away. I did, and it was a long time ago. It was an old gaming system I bought, you know, for my kids when they were still little. And it was junk. They had not shown the right pictures and all that, but that was before they started backing, you know, having protection on it and all that. But see, here's some of the boxes I've got of just, this box is full of stuff like this. So is this box. And I've got all kinds of stuff. And then I got cars down here, cars and stuff on here. Now see, here's some micro trains. Narrow gauge stuff that I've got, and they made some really nice narrow gauge cars. I think every bit as good as the Blackstone stuff. The problem is they quit making them.
right.
And you know, so now you got to try and find them from people, and they usually the micro trains. Most of them that I bought, I got for under $30 a piece. Now this is a kit car that somebody built, and I bought this strictly for the way he did the sides on it. It's one of the old what they call the billboard car.
Mm-hmm.
And I just thought it looked really cool. So even if I set this over on blocks, you know, as an old storage building on the layout, as opposed to actually running it on there, I liked it. So I bought it. But most of the stuff I've got is kits. I get that back down in there. But I've got all kinds of stuff. The model masterpieces stuff. Which is all stone, not stone, hydrocal castings. I've got 2 roundhouses, Como roundhouse and Midland roundhouse that I'll be putting in the yard. And they look really nice once they're put together and painted. And then the yellow boxes in here are the Sudum kits. And then I've got a bunch of other kits, a lot of Campbell kits. I like the Campbell stuff. This box is full of rolling stock narrow gauge. That whole box is.
Wow.
And then there's most of the engines and standard gauge passenger cars are also in there. So yeah, and I also bought a bunch of ore cars. I've got a lot more ore cars than what's up here, probably twice as many as what you see here. So I you know, a little bit here and a little bit there, and now I've probably got way more than I can ever get on the layout.
Yeah, I think I'm in the same boat, you know, as far as my rolling stock.
But you can always get rid of that kind of stuff on eBay pretty easy.
Yeah.
So I wasn't worried about getting it. And then stuff I knew I could get a good price. If I could get it for a good price, I'd buy it even though I didn't need it because I knew I could turn around and sell it.
Right.
But yeah, it's just, I hate to pass stuff up because anymore, especially in the narrow gauge stuff, because there's just not that much out there. So if you pass it up, you may never see it again.
Yeah, you're right about that.
Now, one thing I did do on my portals, on my tunnel portals, these are Campbell tunnel portals. I bought 2 boxes of those. And then I decided to buy some casting rubber. Yeah, and make my own. And now I can make as many as I need because I was going to have a lot. Because on this mountain, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Could have had 6 up there, but then I've got 2 down here, 1 over here. I'll have some on the other side over there too. There's 2 over there plus 2 more on the far end. So by doing that, I could save some money doing it that way and casting my own. Plus, I can cast as many as I want to around sell on eBay. Not that you can get a lot for them, but it's always a possibility to do that. But then all these little footings and stuff, I end up casting those. Save myself a ton of money on that kind of stuff by casting my own. And it's not hard to do. But anyway, I think, what time is it? 10:15. I'm gonna have to get out of here in a little bit.
Yeah, I'm fixing to have to get out too. I'm gonna go do some errands here shortly.
Yeah,
So,
I've got an errand or two I got to do, and then I've got to meet some people at noon, and then I've got a job after that. So I better say goodbye.
Yeah, I think I'll end the stream once you guys say your goodbyes and jump off.
All righty.
well, I appreciate y'all letting me on here.
Oh, sure.
Sorry?
Anytime, Jason.
Oh, you're more than welcome.
Anytime. Well, bye, everybody. We'll see you next time, whenever that is. Saturday, maybe. Saturday morning, 10 o'clock, 10 Eastern.
Sounds great.
All righty. Take care.